Right out of the gate with technical difficulties, how I always like to start. This is a propaganda report, an emergency show, as they call them. Mark 16:5-7. As they entered the tomb, they saw a young man dressed in a white robe sitting on the right side, and they were alarmed. "Don't be alarmed," he said. "You're looking for Kimmel of Disney, who was nailed to the cross. He has risen. He is no longer here. See the place where they laid him. It is empty. But go, tell the disciples and Peter, he is going ahead of you into Galilee. There you will see him just as he told you." Defeating MAGA. For it is Kimmel of Disney, Kimmel the reborn, Kimmel the righteous, who will protect us all and all of God's people from the satanic attack of the Nazis. In the name of our Father, our Son, and our Holy Kimmel, amen. What's up, Stoner? Thank you. I didn't mean to get a haircut like this. I just started snipping away at it. And I learned yet again in my life that when you do that, and then you take a shower, you come out looking like you got a bob and your name is Debbie. So then you shave the whole thing. It is hard to believe he's on the Man Show. Isn't it interesting just how that doesn't matter, all of the stuff, all his blackface and all that? I personally don't care about any of it. That's what media has been for a long time. But he can be part of condemning similar behavior despite the mountain of evidence of him doing the same thing to build his career and get to where he is. But compartmentalization is a very powerful thing. But Jimmy Kimmel did make his triumphant return last evening. And, oh yeah, kind of get, with a haircut, you kind of get that Philadelphia Phillies Karen vibe. Actually, that's exactly the vibe I had, so I had to shave it. Kimmel returned to celebrations after having a couple of days off, and there were grand celebrations. There was tears, there was cheers, probably a few queers, definitely a couple beers, a message he delivered that people were pretend to revere. Can't think of any more words that rhyme with those. I'm sure they exist. I don't know if you saw any of this. I'm going to play clips from it because it just came out a little while ago. Kimmel's, the reaction that he got, the hero's welcome, and the ratings he's going to get from this, which will be the best ratings he's gotten in years and will be the best ratings he will get, he should quit today because it's going to be a water slide down after this. The whole thing is like a stunt. Probably was a stunt. To boost ratings for a night. It's just so ridiculous. Like he was risen from the dead. This is one of the most blatant examples of manufactured news that you're ever going to see. It's so stupid and dumbed down. It's like, how dumb can we make this shit and see who goes along with it? It's just so stupid. Oh, Jimmy's back! Oh! He wasn't even gone. He was never gone. No! How many celebrities signed it, made videos, somber videos? We are all Jimmy. Colbert, of course Colbert did it. Letterman, come on. It's so stupid. And this is the best thing that ever happened to Jimmy Kimmel. So let me show you some of this monologue. I'm not going to show the whole thing. It's like 30 minutes because you got to do an extended monologue when you've been gone for so long. There was one part I didn't disagree with, but I'll start with the parts that I did disagree with. Senator says, can we talk about the Detroit Tigers collapse their season? I can't believe the Braves swept them, honestly. Of course, the Braves win 10 games in a row when they're eliminated from the playoffs. Here is the beginning of Kimmel's. I'm just going to go through parts that I thought were kind of somewhat, not interesting, but just the stupidest, really. This is the audience when he, let's get his entire walk out here. Let's really get because he's back, There it is. There's the light. So, Charlie Kirk's funeral, some people had some criticisms for it. The grand nature of it. The rally aspect, which that's what it was. And if we have time, I'll talk about some of this, but it was, that's exactly what it was. It was a rally. It was, and based on how Charlie Kirk lived his life, it's probably the type of thing that he wanted, honestly. Even if for most of us, it's a little bit kind of odd. Seems to be what was right up his alley based on how he lived his life. But with that in mind, just think about this grand entrance. Well, no pyrotechnics or anything like that. Still, the guy took 2 days off. Here's his entrance. Jimmy Kimmel. It's a little joke they did there at the beginning.
From Hollywood, it's Jimmy Kimmel Live. Tonight, Glenn Powell and music from Sarah McLachlan with Cleto and the Cletones. And now, Jimmy Kimmel.
It took a long weekend. He slept in a couple days. And continue. This crowd could not contain their excitement. He's finally, this entire audience was like my dog when I get home after being gone for 3 hours. It's going to be a lot of pee in that studio to clean up after this show. I'm sure they had to screen people who came in. They're not going to let somebody like us go into this audience. No, nobody's allowed to. You probably literally get shot with a rubber dart. Okay, I know it's high tension, but they're not letting anybody in who is not going to agree to just jump up and down like a dipshit over a guy who literally had a short week last week. Back-to-back short weeks. And it was so obvious, too, in the way they were talking about it. Because they kept saying it's on hold or it's preempted or they never said he was canceled, even though the media said he's canceled. They're always, they left it out there. I was like, he's obviously not going to get fired. He's obviously going to come back. It's so manufactured. Who are these people that are there? Are they paying these people? Or are they just so happy that they can catch a glimpse of the side of their face as an extra? It's just crazy. It's like he survived an apocalypse. And he's been brought back to save an apocalypse somewhere else. They brought him back. You made it, Jimmy. You made it. Listen to how he opens here, which he plagiarizes.
Thank you. Anyway, as I was saying before I was interrupted.
Oh, where have I heard that before? Where have I heard Trump at his second appearance in Butler, Pennsylvania last year?
And as I was saying...
Oh, it's very similar. He rips off Trump. That's his writers. These are the writers. These are the writers. The media say, oh, his writers, they have families too. If you cancel Jimmy, you kill all those writers are dead. They're dead. They don't have any money. It's not just Jimmy. And that's all they could come up with is what Trump said last year. And he didn't even do it like he was mocking it. He could have mocked it, made a joke out of it, but yeah, it's like he didn't even know. You notice the cracking in his voice. It's already starting. He's like working himself up. Maybe the tears that you're going to see in a moment are real. But as an actor, he's getting himself there. He's working his way. What is he emotional about? Why is he about to start? He's going to cry. Spoiler. What is he so emotional about? So, Stoner, he was suspended. And look, when it first happened, I was like, that's not it seemed like an obvious, like a setup to me. They suspended him because people complained that he implied that, or maybe just said directly, that the shooter of Charlie Kirk, who is alleged still, by the way, is anything. He said MAGA Trumpers are acting like the guy who shot Charlie Kirk is anything but one of them. So he said that it's like MAGA, while MAGA's like, no, he's leftist. So it was really just a stunt. Because he said far. He's been accusing January 6 people. He's been calling Trump a Nazi. He's been doing stuff for 10 years that are far more disprovable. We don't even know. We have a suspicion based on what kind of weird evidence we've gotten about this shooter. It's all very weird, and there's a lot of holes in it. And they jumped on it. They made it a big story, and they're probably going to... I'm a little surprised he didn't actually go out in a blaze of glory and force Disney to fire him so they could pay him. He kind of did a little bit, but they don't... I think Disney was like, let's do this. Let's do a PR stunt. Let's get a little bit of ratings here and there. And they've been trying to make him this martyr for free speech on the left, which is the weirdest thing ever. Because he's alive and he's perfectly fine and he's going to make more money off of all this. It's just really weird. It's almost just a dumbing down of propaganda. Let's make it really low effort. Let's see how dumb we can make it. I got to switch it back over here. All right, he continues.
I'm not sure who had a weirder 48 hours, me or the CEO of Tylenol. It's been over.
It's good. It's just like, somebody who goes through something and they get back and everybody has warm feelings. Everybody it has that vibe. But he didn't go through anything. He went through nothing. What do you think his past 4 or 5 days were like? You think he was struggling to survive? Oh, he was hanging out with his security guards and his family, probably by a swimming pool, probably drinking. He didn't just barely make it. Everybody's like, oh my God.
Overwhelming. I've heard from a lot of people over the last 6 days. I've heard from all the people in the world over the last 6 days. Everyone I have ever met has reached out 10 or 11 times. Weird characters from my past are the guy who fired me from my first radio job in Seattle, where we are not airing tonight, by the way. Sorry, Seattle. His name is Larry. In 1989, Larry tried to force me to do a bit called Jokes for Donuts, where people would call in with a joke and I would give them donuts. I refused to do it, and then I made a lot of fun of Larry for suggesting it, and eventually Larry fired me, and I had to move back in with my parents. But even he wrote in to cheer me up. Thank you, Larry. And
So Kimmel, this was revealed on CNN multiple times this week. Disney has these ad sales they do. They bring in all these corporations every year for this big conference where they're selling a bunch of ads, where they really make the big bucks. And at these corporate events, some of you have probably been to corporate events like this. I've done improv workshops with them. A lot of people getting drunk, and they're really trying to close deals with them. They bring in the entertainment to help close the deal. Every year at this event, I can't remember the name of it, but Jimmy Kimmel is the biggest event of the year for Disney when it comes to closing deals. Kimmel was the guy who would come in at the end and do a little bit and close the deal. So he's their closer on their biggest corporate event of the year, where they cash in on the ad contracts globally. He was never going anywhere.
I want to thank everyone who checked in. It would take all week to list all of them, but some that I do especially want to mention are my fellow late night talk show hosts, my friend Stephen Colbert.
Oh, yeah, Stephen, Mr. Vaccine Dancer.
In this predicament. My friends Jon Stewart, Seth Meyers, Jimmy Fallon.
Great guys.
Oliver,
Great,
O'Brien,
virtuous
Jeff
guys.
Gordon, Arsenio, Kathy, Wanda, Chelsea,
everybody.
Jay reached out. I heard from late night hosts in other countries.
Johnny Carson from the
Ireland
dead.
And from Germany. The guy in Germany offered me a job. Can you imagine? This country has become so authoritarian. The Germans are like, come here. Come loose. My boyhood idols, Howard Stern and David Letterman, were very considerate and kind, and I feel
Howard Stern was his boyhood idol.
honored to be part of a group of people that knows what goes into doing a show like this. And I also want to thank all of you.
Here come the waterworks.
Who supported our show, cared enough to do something about it, to make your voices heard so that mine could be heard. I will never forget it. And maybe...
What did he win? Is this a Lifetime Achievement Award? What did he win?
Maybe most of all, I want to thank the people who don't support my show and what I believe, but support my right to share those beliefs anyway. People who I never would have imagined. Like Ben Shapiro, Clay Travis, Candace Owens, Mitch McConnell, Rand Paul, even my old pal Ted Cruz, who, believe it or not, said something very beautiful.
He really raced through the Candace Owens. Somebody needs to clip that one. Of course, it doesn't matter what he does. He can be, it's never, he's like, for some reason, he's bulletproof, probably because of the ads that or the corporate contracts he gets for Disney.
On my behalf.
I hate what Jimmy Kimmel said. I am thrilled.
It's pretty funny.
Believe it or not, said something very beautiful on my behalf.
I hate what Jimmy Kimmel said. I am thrilled that he was fired.
Oh, wait, no, not that. The other part.
But let me tell you, if the government gets in the business of saying,
what you can and can't say,
what you, the media, have said, we're going to ban you from the airwaves if you don't say what we like. that will end up bad for conservatives.
I don't think I've ever said this before, but Ted Cruz is right. He's absolutely right. This affects all of us, including him. I mean, think about it. If Ted Cruz can't speak freely, then he can't cast spells on the Smurfs. Even though I don't agree with many of those people on most subjects, some of the things they say even make me want to throw up. It takes courage for them to speak out against this administration, and they did, and they deserve credit for it. And thanks. For telling their followers that
does it takes courage? Look where he is. Look where all of the people who speak out against the administration are any of them being silenced? That was one thing I noticed last week when they're like, nobody's going to be able to, even though he's setting aside the fact that they acted like Kimmel was somehow equivalent to Charlie Kirk, who got shot in the neck and killed. Jimmy Kimmel, even using the exact same language. Charlie Kirk's voice silenced. A few days later, Jimmy Kimmel's voice silenced. Charlie Kirk won't be the last one. A few days later, Jimmy Kimmel won't be the last one. We're all Charlie Kirk. A few days later, we're all Jimmy Kimmel. Literally the exact same language. I took screenshots of it. It's on my Twitter. They just copied the language and said, he's our Martin. It's crazy. For somebody who is an authoritarian who doesn't let anybody speak, Trump sure has a lot of loud critics. I don't think anybody should be kicked off the air. So I agree with that, but clearly nobody has been kicked off the air. In this instance, anyway. Definitely not like during COVID.
Government cannot be allowed to control what we do and do not say on television, and that we have to stand up to it. I've been hearing a lot about what I need to say and do tonight, and the truth is, I don't think what I have to say is going to make much of a difference. If you like me, you like me. If you don't, you don't. I have no illusions about changing anyone's mind. But I do want to make something clear because it's important to me as a human, and that is, you understand that it was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man. I don't think there's anything funny about it. I posted a message on Instagram on the day he was killed, sending love to his family and asking for compassion, and I meant it, and I still do. Nor was it my intention to blame any specific group for the actions of what it was obviously a deeply disturbed individual. That was really the opposite of the point I was trying to make, but I understand that to some that felt either ill-timed or unclear, or maybe both. And for those who think I did point a finger, I get why you're upset. If the situation was reversed, there's a good chance I'd have felt the same way. I have many friends and family members on the other side who I love and remain close to, even though we don't agree on politics at all. I don't think the murderer who shot Charlie Kirk represents anyone. This was a sick person who believed violence was a solution, and it isn't. Ever. And also, selfishly, I am...
So that is a change in what his message was from his joke, where he said that it was one of MAGA who did it. So he took the instructions from his bosses. But this whole thing feels to me like it was designed in the beginning. Let's do a little PR stunt, exploit this situation. The Trump administration, I don't know if it's like, yeah, we'll help you make a few bucks. Let's go, yeah, we'll go get the FCC guy. I have no idea. But is his sympathy real here? I don't know. I'm not in a position to judge that. But this whole stunt of making him a martyr and now making him a guy who's a hero who survived the greatest attack on free speech in history, even though somebody got shot in the neck for it the week before. And now he's the guy who is the sympathetic communicator. His message there, I certainly don't disagree with, but just this little narrative and story and him being this figure to carry it through is just, it's extraordinary to me. It's just such a manufactured story. None of this should be, Jimmy Kimmel should not be the center of any story right now. Nobody should care at all about Jimmy Kimmel, other than his family and the 2 or 3 people that actually think he's funny. Yeah, give him a Nobel Prize, Stoner.
Gets a lot of threats. I get many ugly and scary threats against my life, my wife, my kids, my coworkers because of what I choose to
JC says Jimmy Kimmel's crying on TV, take away my rights. That's hilarious.
say. And I know those threats don't come from the kind of people on the right who I know and love. So that's what I wanted to say on that subject. But I don't want to make this about me because, and I know
you don't?
People say when they make things about them, but I really don't. This show is not important. What is important is that we get to live in a country that allows us to have a show like this.
All right, so then he goes into the free speech stuff and he repeats the stuff that we've heard and he cites Ted Cruz and all that. And let me see. Then he talks a little bit about the network. Like he's giving his Oscar speech here. Let's see. All right.
The show the way we want to do it for almost 23 years. I've done almost 4,000 shows on ABC. And over that time, the people who run this network have allowed me to evolve and to stretch the boundaries of what was once traditional for a late night talk show, even when it made them uncomfortable, which I do a lot. Every night, they've defended my right to poke fun at our leaders and to advocate for subjects that I think are important by allowing me to use their platform, and I am very grateful for that. With that said, I was not happy when they pulled me off the air on Wednesday. I did not agree with that decision, and I told them that, and we had many conversations. I shared my point of view. They shared theirs. We talked it through, and at the end, even though they didn't have to, they really did.
We talked it through, and we decided what a PR opportunity. What a great opportunity we have to get some ratings here. And you know what? Maybe we're mad at you, but we're going to turn you into our martyr. And let's pull a ridiculous stunt. What do you say? That's more along the lines of the conversations that I expect happened. I don't expect anything that he's saying or anything that the people from Disney said happened about this back and forth. They, from the very beginning, evidenced by the fact that he is crucial in their biggest event, corporate event of the year, gaining those ad contracts with his performance. They weren't going to get rid of him. This was a come together, let's do a little PR strategy. That's exactly what this was. And maybe the administration, I don't know, maybe like, hey, we can do a little fight here. And we can both benefit, can make you look like you're tough, like you're going to crack down, even though actually there'll be no impact, but there can be the rhetoric around it. And then we'll also pump your ratings up a little bit and make you look like you've done something. And make you, Disney, look like you decided after upon second thought that you are going to stand up to the authoritarian. Courtney says, where is it? Why did we decide that we were going to give a shit about a TV host losing their job? This has happened a million times before, and no one ever cared before. This is Lord Kimmel, Courtney. This is Lord Kimmel of Disney. And Trump's, thug FCC head threatened on a podcast with a grifter, and maybe you should shut the fuck up. You're gonna get kicked out the A. Which he has Robert De Niro come on at the end of this and play. Robert De Niro hasn't been intimidating since Casino in '95. Robert De Niro is gonna come play a fucking tough guy. You want to shut the fuck up? You get off of my network. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Didn't have to. This is a giant company. We have short attention spans, and I am a tiny part of the Disney Corporation.
You're just a tiny part of it.
And I thank them for that.
Shut up, you dipshit. All right, here's the one thing that, and I know Trump's speech at Kirk's funeral and Erica's speech they were, I think, very intentionally appealing to different groups of people, Republicans especially. But he does say something here that I certainly agree with, even if there is a propaganda angle to it. I think it's the right message. Let me see here.
Letting these politicians tell us what they want and tell them what we
Yeah,
want.
he was scary to meet the parents. I agree. Future Nobel Prize winner. Kimmel.
There was
Shit's right.
a moment over the weekend, a very beautiful moment. I don't know if you saw this. On Sunday, Erica Kirk forgave the man who shot her husband. She forgave him. That is an example we should follow. If you believe in the teachings of Jesus, as I do, there it was. That's it. A selfless act of grace, forgiveness from a grieving widow. It touched me deeply. And I hope it touches many. And if there's anything we should take from this tragedy to carry forward, I hope it can be that, not this. So thank you for listening.
And I completely agree with that. I hope that none of this other stuff, none of this Kimmel stuff, none of this other not ridiculousness is what people take away from it. I hope what is taken away from it is you don't have to. Forgiveness doesn't mean letting off the hook. I know there's a lot of conversation about that after she said that during her husband's funeral, and then Trump said, "I don't forgive. I hate him." People were saying, "What's the difference in forgiving spiritually and justice from the state?" And obviously, but that's not what the impact of that is. And you can look around on X and you can see is what Erica said, which I do agree with, and obviously there's going to be a lot of anger you have. And by the way, we should say this, regardless of what you believe about who did it, everybody seems to be talking as though this person, Tyler Robinson, whatever his name is, has been convicted. Everybody's innocent until proven guilty, especially when we have some very weird evidence. Some of the linchpin evidence that we have, say they have a DNA evidence on a trigger. That DNA evidence was gathered rapidly. That rapid DNA testing is not good evidence in court. Oftentimes, it's not even admissible in court. It's a longer DNA gathering process, which takes weeks, which they would not have gotten back yet. So that stuff is only used for getting a probable cause warrant. And then you have the confession where he lays everything out, this awkward, weird text messaging chain. So if we accept that as true, and if they accept that as true, at the very minimum, surface level, let's accept it, then his boyfriend or whatever, his roommate / lover, is also going to get arrested. Unless this person is an informant or they were a honeypot. There's no other explanation because that weird text message chain, he says, "Hey, remember when I was engraving bullets?" So that shows foreknowledge. Hey, my dad, it all shows foreknowledge. And I have a story about that, actually, where this guy apparently has not been seen. This guy or girl, whatever it is, has not been seen since the police took, I'm talking about the lover, that person away a few weeks ago. And we'll get to that in a second. But the guy is still innocent until proven guilty. Due diligence, we don't know what happened. I have no idea what happened. There's a million different theories that I think is designed to confuse people and make people go crazy. But nevertheless, the message, the way that I took it, and I don't care if it's meant that way, but whoever did it, there's people on the right who are declaring war on social media, usually big accounts that will then trickle down to smaller accounts. And I've literally seen people advocating violence for that. And I think that to have a message of forgiveness is good. Then you have Trump come out there and Trump says, "I don't forgive them." And when people say that's about the state, punishing somebody who violated a law. Well, Trump said he doesn't forgive his enemies, the left, the radical left, the left, the radical left. He clumped them together. And look, I'm not a fan of the left. There's no doubt about that. But not everybody who's a Democrat, and not everybody who is the left is the radical left. And not everybody who's a Democrat or the left, because there was no concrete definition given, not all of them were celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. In fact, most of them were not celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. A very small number of them were. They got amplified on social media because that's what goes viral, the most extreme stuff. And they do it because they see their leader influencer on their side, and they copy them because they want to go viral too. They're giving the signal, this is what we do. They're brainwashed. And they shouldn't be doing it. And I don't care that some of them lost their jobs, especially if they're in positions where they have like a nurse or doc, where they have people that are vulnerable. I'm not getting in on making a database or anything. But what do you expect when you make something like that? People don't expect anything because they're not thinking past the moment. They're thinking, I want to go viral. I'm so addicted to social media. But what we see is not the majority. And to have these very vague definitions of left, radical left, and don't forget me, and you have people over here who are being influenced by bigger accounts. Also, the bigger accounts on the right are also in the majority who are calling for war and civil war and whatnot. But there are some of them. And the idea with this propaganda is to make it manifest and spread and then, go offline into the real world, as it did a little bit at some of the vigils. And people who see that message, I'm talking about from the right now, what does that mean? I would encourage anybody who is in that camp. This is war. What does that mean? And do you have the same definition of war that other people who you have seen declare the same thing might have? Because when things like that are not defined concretely, then the most extreme definition of that, you are going to be clumped in with. So you might see it as simply exposing somebody who celebrated Kirk's death, while somebody in the other extreme might see it as, I'm going to go hunt out and violently attack people who I view as another undefined thing, left. And so then you're categorized as what might be the worst or most extreme of this group. This is how propaganda works. You keep things vague so that you can define everybody as the worst of a certain group. And that extreme, just like it does with all the messaging that takes over, pulls people that way because they're always the most vocal, the most out there. They do the things that get the most attention. And I would just ask yourself, what does that mean to say this is war? Because the big accounts that are influencing a lot of people to post similar messages, and you saw conflicting messages like this all throughout his funeral. Some people were spiritually forgiving. Others were, this is war. I mean, it was like back and forth the whole time. And I would define exactly what you mean for yourself and outwardly, because if you say the same thing some of these other people say, you're going to get interpreted as the most extreme. And the people who are influencing everybody to say it, they're not going to be the ones actually on the front lines, because they make a lot of money provocateuring things by saying things like that. They'll be far, far away. That's how it always works. The organizer is always far, far away. The Stacey Abrams is always far, far away, eating a Baconator on her very sturdy throne in the sky, still wobbling and about to break. And for the left, I stop being retarded. If you're making videos and shit, you don't have to fucking say, oh, I gotta say what I gotta say about all this information about Charlie Kirk that isn't even full or complete information or not even true. Shut up. We all have free speech, but think. Social media gets us to not think. I know a lot of people who said a lot of things, not a lot of people, but who said things that are like disappointing to me, but I know that they're good people, but I also know how they're influenced by it, and I'm just like, man, Everything that you think that is true about him is not true. There's a lot of things that I thought were true about him that weren't true. That's not saying that Turning Point USA and what they do was not. I mean, there is a strategy there of clip farming, but I've done it myself. I've gone out and interviewed people for the purpose of being silly and getting silly clips to put montages together. That's what people do nowadays. So to say that, it's just like my position on all of it is, I know I've said this a lot, is I don't even care if all the worst things about somebody that people say are true. For me, if I hate that person, I don't hate anybody. I really don't. I hate what people do. But like, if it's the person who I see as my enemy, I don't care if all the worst things are true. I still don't want him to die, and I'm still never going to celebrate anybody's death. It's all these justifications in between, I think, are beside the point. Baconator's a good burger. The Big Kahuna Burger. Love the Big Kahuna. That's my favorite movie, Pulp Fiction. It is a tall order. Tall order for a short bus. Stop being retarded is. I saw, let me see if I can find it. Change up the tone a little bit here. The aspirin order. Of course, everybody had the jokes today. Remember Quantum Leap? Not the new one. Not the new one where there's a trans character. Have you seen the new Quantum Leap? It's awful. Quantum Leap, retarded. All right, so somebody posted this. I don't have the exact meme that they put with it, but they posted with this Quantum Leap, this original Quantum Leap clip. They said, when I found out my mom took aspirin when I was a baby, and this is the clip they shared with it.
I'm retarded?
I'm sorry. That's not funny. Can't believe they used to make TV like this. I mean, that guy got paid a lot of money, okay? Look, and they zoom in, they keep zooming in.
I'm retarded?
Oh my God. All right, so look, there's a lot of actors who have Down syndrome, and I don't mean to laugh at that. It's just I can't believe that used to be stuff that was on TV. Things have changed. That actor made a lot of money. Day rate back then was at least $900 a day, and he had lines, so he wasn't an extra. He was in the whole episode. He made thousands of dollars. Just don't feel bad for him. Yeah, I haven't seen Lethal Weapon, the TV series. Have you guys seen the new Naked Gun? Make retarded funny again. That's right. All right. So after this, he starts talking about reproductive rights. He starts talking about all the progressive talking points. So it's just an ad for every progressive talking point and stopping authoritarianism. Here, I'll show you the De Niro part. It's really easy to do a monologue like he's doing when you go out knowing that everybody is going to love you either because they're told they have to or because you just know you have an audience that's right up your alley.
Reached out to the chairman of the FCC, Brendan Carr, and he has, to his credit, agreed to join us from his office in Washington. And here he is now. Thank you, Chairman Carr, for being with us tonight.
Robert De Niro.
You tell Whoopi over there she better show a little respect, or the only view she's getting is from under George Washington. The bridge, not the guy.
Excuse me, sir? Yeah, hi. It's
Well, what is this? You sneak up on me? You know, don't sneak up on a person. It's not nice. It's not safe.
He can't even. I mean, the timing's off. He's what is he, like 85 now? Nothing wrong with that, but come on, this is an awful bit.
Sorry, what is your name? Because I was expecting to talk to the chairman of the FCC.
You don't need to know my name, and I am the new chairman of the FCC.
Probably in a high chair.
Appointed FCC chairman by Donald Trump?
Sir Trump, yes. I used to do some work for the man here and there in Atlantic City.
But did I just hear you on the phone threatening Whoopi Goldberg?
No, I would never threaten Miss Goldstein. I was just teaching her a lesson about consequences.
Does that mean she's Jewish?
No, pardon me for saying so. Maybe you're the wrong guy to talk to, but it seems like the FCC is using mob tactics to suppress free speech.
What the did you just say to me?
I didn't mean any offense. You know, you can't curse or we'll get fined by the FCC.
I am the FCC. I can say whatever the I want. No.
Well, it sounds a little like threats and intimidation to me, Chairman.
Stop that. Stop that. It's just me, Jimmy, the chairman of the FCC, gently suggesting that you gently shut the up.
But you can't say that. That's a violation of free speech.
Oh, yeah, about that. Speech, it ain't free no more.
What? It's not free no more?
Yeah, we're charging by the word now.
You're charging by the word? How much are you charging?
It depends on what you want to say. Like, you want to say something nice about the president's beautiful, thick yellow hair, or how he can do his makeup better than any
All right, so this kid goes on and on. It's bad. But yeah, that's how he brought De Niro. Because, De Niro will do anything. I feel like De Niro is a true believer when it comes to disliking Trump. So that was a good portion of Kimmel's return. I'm sure the ratings will be great. He should retire now.